Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here with my partner in crime, John 3D80s Kid. Now, we've been doing an episode of Who Wore It Better, and this is the second episode John's been on with me, but it's the fourth episode, and if you recall, John became a partner of mine solely so I could have somebody to agree and disagree with. In our first episode that he was on, he kind of he kind of checked and made and is making sure I stay on the straight and narrow. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I mean, you've got to have somebody on here who's going to correct all of your mistakes, set the record straight, and actually get everything right. So I'm happy to help you on that front and make sure you don't say anything too stupid that just gets left unchecked. So,
Well, listen. If you're, I want you to show and pick your players too, because if your only job is to pick out my mistakes, you're going to be reading a newspaper because I tried to make a mistake one time and I couldn't. So, um,
I
so
figure I'd have my hands full and wouldn't have enough time for daily life if I'm following you around correcting mistakes. So,
yeah, well, I speak good English. I speak good English. I don't do anything silly about, having to, I got my eyeballs fixed. I can see now. But I'm glad to have you on here just to get another view, whether it's right or probably wrong. I'm glad to have somebody else to banter back and forth with and even discuss this because who knows, you might actually say something that might change my mind on something. And matter of fact, sometimes if you agree with me, that might scare me enough to change my mind. So how about that?
that
You
sounds
know,
good with me, Chris.
yeah. So this is fun. I'm having a blast, and it's making me do a little bit of research again. We've seen these players in their uniform numbers. This who wore it better is to find out the jersey number that a player wore a big part of their career, that a significant part of their career, that we kind of view them as wearing that number. Now there's players like we've chose like I chose before and you corrected me. Somebody like Reggie Jackson that wore two different numbers, uh, because he couldn't wear one of the numbers when he was a Yankee because he's already retired. That's what I'm saying. Don't even need to look it up because if you say it loud and proud, it's forget Google anymore, right?
Sure.
So, so we did 45. I did number 45, and you disagreed with me, even though I was right. But I saw your point. I saw your point, but I, you know, so I went with Bob Gibson. You went with Pedro Martinez on the number 44. The person that we chose wore it better was Hank Aaron. That's pretty cut and dry. There were some great
No
ones.
brainer. No
Yeah.
brainer. And back to 45. I mean, those two guys both appear on a top 10 list of greatest all time right handed pitchers. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's really splitting hairs.
Yeah.
So,
So we have a few of these jersey numbers that it's going to be tough to narrow it down to one. Now there's some that might not be so tough to narrow it down, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find our top three and maybe some honorable mentions on the way. So, are you ready to begin this?
I am ready, Chris.
Okay, so really, this is your second time on. If you need help with any technology kind of stuff, I'm your guy, right? If
Yeah,
you need
sure
help,
you are. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So, so we got the number that we're starting out with today is number 42, and 42 is a big significant number, and so um, I'm going to ask you to go first with some of your honorable mentions, and you got the microphone, and I don't have a buzzer to make you to bleep you or anything, so don't mess up. Remember, this is my channel here that my reputation of not making mistakes is on. So, John, let's hear your honorable mentions for the number 42.
Well, of course, like you said, it's a very significant number, being the only number retired by every MLB team. But I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn here to start things out with my honorable mentions and veer away from baseball, because when I hear the number 42, I can't help but think of one of the most intense football players of all time. And for my team growing up, was a maniac on the field, a guy so nutty, he chose to have a finger amputated than miss time in the game, at least partial finger. And that's insanity. But one of the hardest hitters of all time, Mr. Ronnie Lott. Can't have a 42 show without him.
Wow. So did you have a chance to watch him play a lot?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My first season watching football ended up being 1981, which, if anybody knows, that is the first year they ended up winning the Super Bowl in January 1982. So as a 7-year-old kid, I thought, this is awesome. The team I follow gets to win the Super Bowl every year. So,
that's like a kid around here going deer hunting their first time ever, and they shoot like a 12-point buck. You're ruined for life because you think it's supposed to happen every year, and you had a little bit of a dry spell. But
fortunately for me, at least through the 80s, I got to have kind of that feeling almost. So
yeah. Okay. That's a really good one. That's a really good one. So do you have any other sport honorable mention that you want to throw out there?
I did not pull anyone from a different sport.
Okay.
I did have one more honorable mention, that he wore number 42 for the majority of his baseball career, but his most significant moment was actually wearing number 40, but it was the only season he wore 40. And that would be Mr. Dave Henderson.
Oh yeah, you might want to bring him back up again when we get to the number 40. But go ahead, talk about Dave Henderson.
But what he did in 1986 is, as not even a starter for the Boston Red Sox, he hit what was one of the biggest home runs in their playoff history, and could have been the biggest one ever, if not for unfortunate circumstances afterwards. So in the ALCS, in game 5, they were trailing the Angels 3-1. This is Reggie Jackson, who we previously mentioned, was on that Angels team. They were up 3-1 to the Red Sox and leading in the 9th inning, top of the 9th. This was in California, or in Anaheim, and they were facing the Angels' ace closer. Dave Henderson was up with 2 outs in the top of the 9th. The Angels are 1 out away from eliminating Boston to go to the World Series. And they've got one guy on. They're down by a run. And he hits a 2-run home run off Donnie Moore.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up, by the way.
Yeah, Donnie Moore, unfortunately for him, he never recovered mentally from that moment. And in fact, it led to him committing suicide within a year or so of that moment. And, very sad story on behalf of Donnie Moore. But carried the momentum, completely shifted the momentum of that series. And Boston wins game 5. They go on to win game 6 and 7. And then they go into the World Series against the Mets. And then in the Mets series, in game 6, the famous game 6, in the top of the 10th inning, but who would be up that inning? Dave Henderson hits the go-ahead home run in the top of the 10th to make it 4-3, which makes then the moment so desperate in the bottom of the 10th where they're trailing and Calvin Schiraldi basically blows it, but then Bill Buckner gets all the blame because of the more, visually iconic moment of the ball going through his legs.
Sure. As a better defensive first baseman that had legs was sitting on the bench that could have been in the, I believe it could have been on the field at that time. But yeah, Dave Henderson.
Can you imagine if Boston holds the lead in that bottom of the 10th? Dave Henderson is a folk hero forever in Boston. He's like, not only did he hit that home run, he was hitting like over 400 in that series. He probably would have been World Series MVP.
Yeah. If we ever did a series on a player not even close to being in the Hall of Fame, but at the time who thought they were a Hall of Famer, Dave Henderson would be on that list, because when he was with Oakland, I mean, he was a scary player, and he was good. He's not even close to being a Hall of Famer, but you're right. After, a couple of those big hits that he had was dismissed. So I like that. I like that honorable mention, but I got a couple honorable mentions I'm going to say out loud. I'm not going to show you cards because I don't even know. The first one that the reason he's worthy of me saying it out loud is Jose Lima. Now, Jose Lima was a pitcher for the Astros, and he came to Kansas City with quite the fanfare. And then he had this sports radio 810 up in Kansas City. Every time he took the mound, it was Lima time. And I had this kid in school that I taught in school, and he would, every time, he was a young kid, maybe fourth grade, and his name was Lyman. And he'd get up to at recess or something on kickball, and he'd say, "It's Lyman time. It's Lyman time." And he said that all year long, standing, and every time I saw him to give him a high five in the hallway or something, it was Lyman time. So I got to give him a high five. So Jose Lima is kind of a special person for me. And the other one, speaking of a folk hero, some of the guys my age probably, Ron Kittle wore number 42 for the Chicago White Sox, and he had a year or so there. I think he was Rookie of the Year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it out loud. Really,
there was huge fanfare when he arrived. Like he was supposed to be a superstar, because I think the year before in minor leagues he'd hit like 50 home runs or something. So.
And it wasn't just little home runs. When he would connect, that thing would go. And Ron Kittle came in with a lot of fanfare, and he wore number 42. And the people loved him. People still love him, or loved him for a long time in Chicago. So I'm going to say out loud, honorable mention, Ron Kittle. Not close to the Hall of Fame, but this isn't a show about you don't have to be in the Hall of Fame to have the best, to wear it the best on this channel. You just have to wear it the best. So that being said, we got our honorable mentions out of the way. Who do you got for wearing it best? 42 at third place.
Well, there were 3 Hall of Famers who primarily wore the number, and it's very easy to name who's number 3 out of those 3 guys. And that is going to be the most dominant relief pitcher of the National League during the 1980s. And I have got a card of him here of 82 Fleer with the Cardinals there, Bruce Sutter. So it was basically an era where he would win that Rolaids Relief Man every year, and then the American League was dominated by Quisenberry for the good first half of that decade. So
beautiful card. Sutter, some interesting things about Sutter as I get ready to show some cards. He had that splitter. He threw a splitter. And some great players, and we're going to probably come up with one here in a little bit, had one pitch, and Sutter's splitter would just drop. I mean, it just somebody was at home plate. There was a string at home plate or a magnet at home plate that when that ball would come toward you, somebody would pull that string and that ball would come straight down and people would think it'd be easy to hit because it wasn't 100 miles an hour, but it was pretty hard, but it would just fall off the table. He had 300 saves on the dot, and that doesn't seem like a whole lot of saves now, but
back then that was a big number. So.
Huge number. Yeah. He's getting a little bit of negative from people when they talk about Hall of Fame, but I believe that must be people that didn't see him dominate like he did. He was a 6-time All-Star. He won a Cy Young for a reliever in 1979. But here's a fact about Suter. He's one of 3 pitchers in the Hall of Fame that never started a game. He never started a ball game. He always came in relief, and that's odd right there. I mean, yeah. Hey, I'm a Hall of Famer, but I wasn't good enough to start, kind of thing. And that 300 saves, he earned them because he pitched in a lot of innings for a relief pitcher, especially for today's relief pitcher. So
yeah, it was an era where they didn't just save him for the 9th inning like they do with the closer specialist type thing. It was like if the team's starting to be in trouble, he could come in as early as partway through the 7th inning, and then go all the way and finish it. So
right, but anyway, that number 3, Suter. What a good pitcher and what a good player. And listen, he might be the 3rd best player ever to wear number 42 forever.
Since no one's ever wear it again, at least in baseball.
That's right. Where a lot of people wear it on April 15th every year to honor Jackie Robinson, but he might end up being third best all time. So okay, so there's 2 players left that were Hall of Famers. 2 players left that were Hall of Famers that wore number 42. I'm going to ask you, John, how much do you want people to throw stuff at the screen? Let me hear who your number 2 is, or are you ready for it yet?
I'm ready. I made my decision of how I'm going to rank them.
Okay.
But it is a question of one person being dominatingly, probably as far as career overall, the best person at what they did.
Go ahead and name both players.
And that is Mariano Rivera. And even his postseason stats, when you compile it all up, is amazing. His combined totals in terms of innings pitched end up being like over 200 innings in the postseason. And it's at an ERA that is like ridiculously low. I think it was still sub 2, isn't it? And so it's almost like you add up his combined postseason stats, it kind of adds up to a phenomenal full season of a starting pitcher worth of innings.
Right.
That, it's like a Cy Young worthy season of innings pitched as a postseason career, which, makes the aberration of the Louis Gonzalez hit up the middle, stand out so much. So, and then on the other hand, you have the most significant cultural impact in the history of sports. So,
tough decision.
Yes.
And for
me, I couldn't go against the most significant person to ever wear the number.
Okay, so talk to me about Mariano Rivera then, since he's your number 2.
So I ranked Mariano number 2 on this list as far as who wore it better. Yes, he is far and away his overall career totals, statistics, no one's even close to him for career totals of a relief pitcher. Of, the number of saves, the domination in terms of his ERA and WHIP and all the stats. I mean, he ended up getting 100% of the vote for a reason. It's like, how could you not put him in the Hall of Fame with how well he did? So,
yeah, he straightened out the Hall of Famers when, there's enough pressure on the voters to say, because there's so many sports writers didn't put somebody in the Hall of Fame years ago because they didn't think they waited long enough. Well, there was too much pressure to, okay, you're not going to put the greatest player at what they did on your ballot. Whoa, you will stick out really bad. Now, Mariano Rivera, 13-time All-Star for a reliever. Now, he and I think he and Bruce Sutter won the Roll-Age Relief Man Award the same amount, I think. But
that's kind of a flawed award anyways, because it's really just looking at saves and wins. And
yeah, sure.
I mean, the numbers that just stand out screaming are his sub-1 WHIP and his ERA. I'm forgetting. Is it right around 2?
It's pretty low. I don't know.
Even less. Let's see. His career ERA is 2.21 for the regular season with a WHIP of exactly 1.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
And he, like you said, he shined in the postseason. World Series MVP, League Championship MVP, All-Star MVP, just on and on. He was so great. Now here's something.
His career postseason WHIP is 0.759.
Okay. Well, don't look this up so I can say this out loud and be good for a while. I got a question for you. How many times, he's a reliever primarily, how many at bats, how many times did he get up at bat? Because remember the DH didn't come in until 74. And but he had some plate appearances. How many do you see it, or are you looking it up?
Oh, I had no idea you were going to make me guess.
No, yeah. So he actually got a hit, right? So I think he's 1 for 3 or 1 for 4 with a base hit. But so listen to this. As far as Hall of Famers go. So this is weird. As far as total Hall of Famers go that played baseball, right? That played baseball, because somebody that probably watches your channel is going to get all smart alecky and say, well, Lee McPhail didn't have a base hit, or Bud Selig didn't have a base hit. I'm saying that as the players, he batted, I think 3 or 4 plate appearances, and it is the second fewest plate appearances by anybody in the Hall of Fame. And, so I like looking that up about Bruce Sutter, but Mariano Rivera had, I think, 3 plate appearances and had 1 hit and an RBI or something like that, or 4 hits, or in 4 plate appearances. And I know he had a hit. So anyway, Mariano Rivera, did you get out a card to show?
Oh, yeah, I have a couple of them. I got the 2004 Fleer Ultra with the American flag there in the background. And then I've also got his 2008 Topps card. So.
Okay. I like the 2008 cards. There's some significant cards in there. So the only card I'm showing is his rookie card. And I got the story on this card, John. I know what this card is. A lot of people don't. There's all kinds of things. But here's his rookie card. And it's a picture of him knocking on the bathroom door on the beach potty, seeing if anybody's inside there. And that's what that is. That's Mariano Rivera at a porta potty. So
I always thought that was what his mom wanted for his senior portrait. So that's for high school. So
yeah. So anyway, that's one of the that's not a pretty card.
no,
So so that leaves one player for you that you say who wore it better.
well, do you agree? Is Mariano number 2 on your list, or are you gonna make everyone hate you, Chris?
Well, so here's the thing with Jackie for me. Here's the thing with Jackie. When you rank Jackie at his position, at his baseball position, most people put him at second base. And I don't know if he's in the top 5. I don't think he's in the top 5 at second base. I don't know where he is because I haven't studied it. But when people make lists and stuff, they have no problem not putting him in there at number 1. But when we do a show like Who Wore It Better, like Who Wore It Better, his cultural impact, just like you said, is second to none. And if we put any player up here, it would be tough to argue against Jackie on who wore it better. Now, who was a better second baseman? I can put up Joe Morgan and tell you that Joe Morgan or Rogers Hornsby were better second basemen than him. But his jersey, this is gonna be kind of deep. His jersey that he wore was heavier than any other jersey that any other player ever wore. That jersey was heavy because he was carrying in his pockets and every thread of that a whole race that was counting on him, and he wore it proud. And so Mariano Rivera is going to finish second to me. So I've said a little bit. Show me, and tell me about Jackie Robinson wearing it better.
Well, that was very deep and moving there, Chris. So I applaud your statement there with regard to the weight he was carrying, which is certainly true. We've been able to see it. The recent Jackie Robinson movie was very well done. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, who did a great job in the role. Sure. Even applaud that normally comedic actor who was put in the position of being the Phillies manager guy that was ultra racist. That couldn't have been easy doing that role there either.
No.
I'm forgetting his name, but he's on
that. I see it.
He's on Resident Alien as a TV show, but he's normally a comedy actor, so he did a great job.
Yeah. So since you're bringing acting in here, it took the Black Panther, somebody as a superhero, to be able to play Jackie Robinson, right?
Oh yeah, there you go.
So sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, but he was still an amazing player. It's just he had such a short window. So, in terms of what you're talking about with ranking players, I'm more of a peak guy than I look at for longevity and hanging on for career numbers in terms of how I judge players. So, I've actually compiled rankings of players, and once I have everybody that's in the top listings card, then I plan on making my rankings video, which I'm still missing an Eddie Collins, so I haven't gotten around to second baseman, but I have Jackie listed 6th because he still had a very high peak, for the years we got to see out of him. So one MVP award, obviously a tear on the base paths, the spark plug for that team big time. So, his performance on the field was still outstanding. He's not, going to be listed as the greatest, even African-American baseball player. But yeah, the cultural impact, the change to the sports landscape all over the place, baseball was the sport of sports at that point in time. And, having him do that and working through it and not being, combative and sucking it up, was what was needed in order for there to be widespread acceptance. And you'd have to think the emotional toll of that possibly shortened his career.
Agreed.
The stress and pressure of those first, the first couple seasons. So, but yeah, still a 7-time All-Star, batting title, superb stats. I mean, WAR is really a cumulative type number. So getting a 63.9 WAR in, what was it, 10 seasons is still a huge number.
Sure.
So,
well, along with that, he was Rookie of the Year. He was MVP. He made an impact, and he batted over 300. He only had 1,500 hits, but before he came into even the minor leagues, spent that time in the minor leagues, he was in the service. So, he lost some years because of that. But when I think about Jackie Robinson, not just, his greatness. Well, first, he was out at home on that steal. Yogi Berra told me he was out at home, and I gotta believe a catcher. Catchers tell the truth. That's just it. But
they're just biased that it always should be in their favor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But you just, when you think of him, and if you look at it, the players that came after him that played in the Negro leagues might not be as well thought of. We might not be thinking that highly of Hank Aaron or Willie Mays or Ernie Banks had it not been, for the paving the way. I mean, it would have been done sometime. But
him breaking in allowed them to come in then young and have a full 20+ year career.
Exactly.
Whereas he had to come in already, 27, 28? What was he?
28, I believe.
Yeah, 28.
Yeah.
So,
and but what so I think we're going to have to agree on our top three. Even though you threw in a football guy, I don't know what the hell you're thinking there. But as far as who wore it better, I think we got it right. Do you have any last things you want to say? Do you want to?
Well, let me say it with this visual right there.
Oh! I want to show some cards. Beautiful 55.
1955. I am so happy I found this one when I did, because all indications show the values of these has skyrocketed in the last few months. So
wow. Now see, this is why you don't do much. You don't do much here, technology wise and all that kind of stuff. But so far, every time you've been on, you've done a, hey, wait a minute. And that's why I'm going to keep you around. But I'm going to show a few cards because Jackie Robinson's run is tough to get, even though there's not a lot of cards. But I'm not going to show you his whole run. But I'm going to show you this 53 tops.
Yep. Nice one.
This is a recent pickup.
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, I love it. I'm showing this one for George, Diamond Yard Sports Card, old school YouTube content creator that still does some on occasion. But I believe this is his favorite card.
I believe that is the case.
Now, the last two, I don't know, gets me emotional. He's considered to have 2 rookie cards.
Well, and despite what the flips might say, they actually both are 49, right? So
that is correct. And last but not least, one of my favorite cards, maybe one of my favorite cards that was ever created. is the Leaf card. And I just love it.
I like
now
the
I
smile
come
better
to,
on the 49 or the Bowman one myself.
yeah,
But
yeah. I don't, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do. But Jackie Robinson's worthy enough for me to show both of those. So
That's
now, John, is there anything you might want to say to before I say anything at the end about what we did today?
I don't think so, because I think we both came to the same conclusion that a guy who changed American culture is more important than baseball stats ultimately. So, and then it was pretty obvious then who was 2 versus 3 when they're both relief pitchers. So yeah, I think we nailed this one. So.
Yeah, I think I said Jose Lima and Jackie Robinson, and so that was a stretch there. But I think as far
He had a
as
very good season that one year with the Astros, though.
oh,
He
yeah,
almost won a Cy Young award that year. So
yeah. But again, I think as far as the number 42, who wore it best, we got it right. So, guys, on behalf of John and I, our next one that we have coming up probably in a week or so is number 41. Between now and then, do your little research and just, if you would follow along with us. We'd love to hear your comments, that kind of stuff, and let us know. And be ready for us to do 41 and try to predict who you think we're going to say. Until then.
Or is there anybody else who wore 42 that's interesting that we should hear about in the comments either?
Okay. So. And and if we think that their comment's interesting, we'll bring it up on the next show. If somebody tells us how stupid we were, we'll bring it up, except if we don't want to. So until then, remember, guys, it's just a hobby. Collect what you like.